Nice.
What's up, Sammy?
Good to see you. How are
Good to
you?
see you, man. Good, man. How you
Good,
doing?
bro. Good. Good, good. I love that hat. I love that hat. Um, hey, so for our group, we have we have, we'll see how many people are joining. And if I know that we had a couple that messaged me, they're like, I really want to get on this one. Um, but if they cannot, let's just have a conversation, just me and you. Let's talk
Okay,
about it, and then we'll send it out
cool.
to the other. Um, is there anything? You got Tammy in here, you got a few other people here, Mark Platton's in there. Okay, so we got some people coming in. I'll let you rock it. Do you have a presentation or what's your flow? What do you want to do?
Yeah, typically I get a sense for the group, kind of where they're at business wise, and then I have a couple
Perfect.
different presentations I can run through, depending on what will be most valuable for where they're at.
You got it. Anyway, you want me to introduce you? The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, I think what would be helpful is just like I've sold for all the the big influencers. I've taken
Yeah,
like high volume sales, and like now that I run my own offer, I have I bring that to my sales training. I think
totally.
that would be some good edification.
Who would you say is your favorite person that you worked with? Your biggest guy?
So the biggest guy was Taylor Conroy. So he does about 2 million a month.
Oh
He has a
yeah.
big sales team. But my
Yep.
favorite was a tattooer named Ryan Roy because I took that from like 50 to like close to 300 a month, just by like coming in and dominating sales for him. That was my favorite.
That's so sick. Cool. Well, we got a bunch of people that popped in, so we'll rock it and let
Let
them
him
in here
in.
for you.
Cool.
There's a few. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh my, look at those note
Oh,
takers.
cool. Yeah, dude. These effing note takers. My God. I'm gonna hide all these if I can here. But guys, Mark, good to see you again. It's been a minute. Hi there, Marina. Oh, look at this. How many of you guys want to make some money? That's what I'm talking about. Love it. Guys, I am so excited to bring on Andres today because one of the things that will kill your business faster than anything is no income. That that will just drown out any dreams you possibly have. I have been going through a huge slump in the last 6 months. It just picked up over the last couple, and the biggest reason we did is because we figured out our sales process and our selling in general. Um, and one of the reasons we wanted to bring in our cafes for closers. My man Andres today is because this guy has sold for some of the biggest in the industry. I don't know if you guys know Taylor Conroy. That guy is a legend. He's our TEDx guy when it comes to getting on stages around the world. But I know that Andres is going to tell you how much he's grown them. We were just talking briefly in the green room. He's taken some clients from 50,000 to 300,000 a month just for sales. Or was it million? It's 300,000.
300K. Yeah, yeah.
It's just 300K.
It's just
50. How many of you guys, Mark, Marina, would you guys like to go from 10K to 50K to 300K? Show of hands. Yeah. Marina, raise your hand. Raise both hands. Good to see you. Oh, there's Tammy's waving her hands. We got some great people in here. Andres, I'm just gonna let you take it over, bro. Thank you so much for being here. And
yeah.
as one of our panels, I'll just let you have it. You've got screen capabilities, and I'm gonna like boot out some of these note
Yeah,
takers.
get these robots out of here. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Sammy. Thanks for the intro. Um, you know what's funny, man? When I was first starting in sales, Marina was someone I sold into a program like what, 5, 6 years ago? Good
Been
to
a
see you.
minute. Yeah, 2020.
It's
You
good to
too.
see you. I've been a fan watching you on social media. And like the longer you stay in the coaching world, like the smaller like the web is, and like so and so knows so and so. So it's awesome to see. Um, I like to make these as interactive as possible. I was a really bad student, which is probably why I got into sales, which is also why like I check out during presentations. I do have something to, keep this structured, but I'd love to hear from you, Marina, and Mark, and law enforcement coaching, and anyone else who's not a robot. It's a small group. If you guys want to come off mute, what kind of coaching do you guys do? And if you're taking your own sales calls, or if you have a team in place, and I can tailor this to you guys. Let's start with law enforcement.
So I'm Tammy. So my company's law enforcement coaching. Obviously, we do performance, mental, emotional wellness coaching for first responders. We contract with departments and operate as an extension of them, basically. And then we also have the individual offers, which we just kind of put the page on the website literally this last weekend. So we're just now to a point where we can take the individuals. I don't have a funnel, lead gen. I have nothing
Okay.
set up for that at all. Everything that we've been doing has been bigger contracts, which
Okay.
um I do things a little bit different. My audience is very particular. A lot of the things that work in marketing do not work for my audience, so I
Okay.
have to kind of carve things out. Um, we have a podcast, obviously. It's called the Blah 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 Something Wellness Podcast because
Cool.
first responders, if they're into wellness, they get it, but those that need it the most hear blah blah blah. So that's why we titled it that.
That's cool.
And what else do you want to
Cool.
know?
So essentially, you're in the earlier stages, you're taking all the sales conversations yourself.
Yeah, we have because again, we have not done the individual. We've had some
Yep.
individuals seek us out, but that wasn't
Cool.
our bread and butter. It's been going in and doing
Yep. Cool. So
department meetings,
like
grants, all of that.
B2B, like enterprise style
Yeah,
selling.
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Sweet.
But I
Good
do
to
want to
have you,
open it
Tammy.
up. Thank you. I want to open it up because we do have that individual audience. Um, but yeah, I'm a baby in that regard.
Okay. Cool. Well, then this is going to be very useful for you. Let's go Marina next and then Mark.
I'm probably a bad example right now. I'm just changing everything, and
Sick.
I'm sending everyone to a school community,
Dope.
and then I'm gonna figure it out.
Easy day. My school funnel is working really well, actually. So good stuff. So you're taking your own sales calls when they do arise?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what about you, Mark?
Yeah, doing stuff in men's work right around men in midlife and menopause. So
Cool.
looking in that kind of sphere of the men's journey.
Beautiful. Man, I've sold for Tony Verchek, Jordan Candlish, Destin Garrick, and Andrew Farabee, who are all like authors in the men's workspace. So I've sold a ton of men's work. One of my favorite things to sell because I've done a lot of it myself. So you're in good hands, Mark.
Right
All
on.
right. Awesome. And then my man Hussein, you were on my call this morning. Good to have you, brother. Hussein's an aspiring setter closer. So he's been a part of my community. Good to have you, man. All right. So let's I'm gonna tailor this to you guys. You guys are all founders taking your own sales calls. It seems quite low volume, right? Which isn't necessarily an issue. It just means some of the things that I can talk about aren't relevant to you guys yet. We'll focus this on your closing, some of the systems you should be thinking about. Sometimes when I train founders, I'm training them on the scariest thing, which is handing off, your sales to someone else, especially when you've built something up, from 0 to 100K a month on your own. It can be one of the scariest things to do. So that's part of what I do now. But we'll tailor this to kind of what you guys are doing here. First 30 minutes or so will be a little bit more of a structured training. I'm going to be taking breaks to ask questions, make sure you guys are with me. Then we'll do more of a free flow Q&A at the end and hit me with any types of questions that you guys have. My only request is just don't be a multitasking zombie. Just ask questions, pay attention. So we'll call this founder-led selling. Now, what we'll cover today, like I shared, we'll cover the first two. How do we improve our closing process? And how do we improve our sales system? So we're talking to the right people. We're shortening sales cycles for those of you that sell B2B. And we're talking to people with more intent. So we're not just talking to people who are like, hey, what's this about? What do you do? Which is something that I faced a lot when I was closing for other people. Now, a little bit of who am I? I started as a setter before I sold Marina into the first program. I was a setter, so I was DMing people, I was calling people. I stepped into closing quite quickly. I started doing pretty well. And then over the last couple of years, I've done more growth operating. So I come into let's say an organization doing 100, 150K a month. I help recruit and train their sales team, refine their sales process, kind of like a Navy SEAL. I come in for 3 to 6 months. then I move on. And I also now run Cafes for Closers, which is a sales training community for founders and for salespeople. And I work with typically a lot of females for some reason. Didn't set up that way, but 80% of my community is females, and they're all rock stars. I've done about 6 million in coaching sales on different info products. And I've taken offers from, like I said, 50K to about 250 to 300K by coming in and developing the sales side. I think there's tons of fantastic, like you guys, right? You're good at what you do. Some of you guys have a big audience. And so what are the levers that we can pull so we can help more people make more money? And I just focus on the sales side. I don't really touch marketing or anything like that. Now, when I train founders like you guys, it's very different than when I train sales teams. Because, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have 20 things to do at any given time, okay? Myself included. So I run, like I said, I run my own offer now. When I was just selling, that's all I had to worry about. Taking 8 sales calls a day, 10 sales calls a day. All I had to do was get better at closing, get better at one call closing. So I hired a lot of coaches around that, right? You guys don't really have the time to just take 8 to 10 sales calls a day. You have delivery, you have marketing, you have client work, or you have all the things you also need to be doing. And so I approach this a little bit differently. The other thing too is that when I was selling for other people, as much as I pride myself on selling with integrity and like ethics, like I don't like selling people into things that they're not going to benefit from. You're like, as a sales guy, you're a sales guy. Right? You sell someone and then you hand off the client to the CSM or the founder, right? When you're the founder, you cannot, or I don't know about you guys, but I do not rely on any guarantees when I sell my own offer because I'm involved in the fulfillment the entire time. And I want to make sure that my clients are signing up with the right expectations, that we're not over-promising, because that means that they're going to have a better client journey, which on the back end not only means better testimonials, but also more referrals and ascension or renewals. So it's a little bit different in how I train founders, because I don't want you guys to like have to be objection handling people for 30 minutes because those clients are going to refund anyway, or they're going to be a pain in the ass. So that's kind of the differences that I look at. Like there's a ton of sales trainers out there. You know, maybe you guys have seen like the objection handling videos on Instagram, and that stuff is great. But again, when as founders, like I want a different approach to sales training. That's what we're going to go into today. So you guys with me? Can't see anybody. You guys let me know in the chat. Or did I bore
Yeah,
you
we're
guys
with
already?
you. Everybody.
All right, cool. Sick. Cool. So first is when it comes to selling, like there's so many pieces of our sales process. There's how we open the call, how we find the problem, right? The goals that they want to accomplish, the consequences of not accomplishing those goals. Then we typically have a pitch, and then we have our close and handling objections or hesitations. Okay. The most viral content that you guys see around sales training is objection handling. You guys see, Sammy, have you seen those videos? Right?
I just watched that Gabby chick,
Yeah.
or whatever her name is. No.
Yeah, right. It's cool. It's cool. Like, oh yeah, she closed the deal. What you don't see is like that's the last 5 minutes, right? Like that call was an hour. To book that call was a DM sequence or a funnel or a relationship you had to build. And that comes off the back end of marketing or outreach. So there's an entire process that goes into the sales call even happening to even have that last 5 minutes of objection handling. Now, it is important to know how to handle objections, so all that effort doesn't go to waste. But as founders, guys, like you guys have conviction in what you do, and you guys are product experts because you guys are the ones doing delivery. So the sale, in my opinion, is made in the discovery. Now, I think for a lot of founders, we rely too much on our confidence in what we do, and we find ourselves talking too much at clients and not evoking the true problem and the emotion behind that problem. Because people buy on emotion and they justify it with logic. I would write that one down. We can't just sell people on emotion because then they have buyer remorse and then they refund. We can't just sell people on logic because it's back and forth on contracts and then they fall off. So it's a perfect balance between both. Now, to even get there, in our discovery, like in your first 5 to 10 minutes of your sales call, I want to look for data. Now, it might be a little bit different for those of you guys that like sell men's work. Like that's a non-ROI offer. So it's a different, like we look for data differently. But some of you guys help other people make more money. So there's specific data points that will look for that. So I have quite an in-depth, can you see my screen here? The Miro board. This is like a discovery framework that I train my clients on, right? It's like, how do we open a call? What do we look at? It's quite in depth, and there's a few ways that we go through it, but I've summarized it here into like some key principles and what you guys can start applying to your sales calls immediately. So some of these things you guys are in the coaching world, you've definitely heard before, right? Like people believe 10% of what you say and 90% of what they say. And that's the foundation of my sales style, because I want to ask questions so my prospect influences themselves. But this can go a little bit more advanced, right? Whoever is asking the questions is holding the frame of authority, and whoever holds the frame of authority is the one that's leading the sale, because people buy from authorities and from experts that they perceive can solve their problem, which is why for those of you guys that have ever run a brick and mortar business, you try and get your friends and family to come and support you. It's like pulling fucking teeth. Excuse me if I curse, but right, it's like pulling teeth. But then those same people are like buying things from influencers online, and you're like, dude, what the hell? Right? It's because like people buy from authorities, they don't buy from people that they perceive as friends. Okay. Now I'm gonna talk into that when I talk about how do you open up a call. But then the second thing is vagueness. Vagueness will cost you guys a lot of money. Okay. Vague questions get vague responses. Vagueness loses deals because it doesn't open up the real problem that someone wants to solve. Here's an example. One of my clients, he's an AI agency owner. So he's getting on sales calls. He's like, hey man, so you're running ads? Cool. How they going? How they doing? And the response to those types of questions, like, yeah, it's going all right. Yeah, it's going pretty good. There's no moving the conversation forward. There's no evoking a problem. So we change that up a bit. I'm like, cool, man, never ask that again. I want you to ask exactly, what are you doing right now to drive in leads? With the current strategy that you have in place, how many leads are you driving every week? With those leads happening every week, how many of those are converting into sales? And based on that sales conversion, what's that equating to in terms of monthly revenue? Hyper-targeted questions. Now, for you guys that sell maybe a non-ROI offer, Marina, I don't know what you're selling now, but I would imagine has something to do with breathing, staying alive, the breath of life, right? There's typically things that we want to understand around what they're doing to get a certain outcome. Let's say in the men's work, like when I sold men's work, the data I would look for was the behavior. So one of the offers was helping men like manage their nervous system so they could show up more grounded in their marriages. So one of my first opening questions was, all right, man, well, welcome to the call. What resonated about influencer? What has you potentially exploring this type of support now? And what are you really looking to shift within your relationship? Very pointed questions, but within the realm of men's work. And my opening question was, help me understand right now, what is the biggest challenge that's impacting your relationship? Now that for men's work and for any non-ROI offer, the first response was always external. Oh, well, it's like my partner, she doesn't listen to me, she doesn't know how to do this and this and this and that. Bunch of BS. So I would follow it up again with, cool, man. Now, putting aside the things that are outside of your direct control, if we focus on what you are either encouraging or tolerating, what is the biggest challenge coming from you and how you're showing up in your relationship? Or that's perpetuating XYZ argument. And so I would re-ask the question to come to the data of, you know what, the truth is, like, I really struggle with anger management. Okay, problem found, right? So these are the two ways that we can do it, whether you're selling an ROI offer or a non-ROI offer. It's going to be a little bit different for like enterprise sales. But the point is that we're finding a specific data point, because people cannot hide behind data. Okay. When we find a data point, let's say, for example, in the realm of money, right? They're making 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month. They're on the call because that level of income, there's something about it that they're not happy with. They're either trading too much time or it's not giving them the freedom they thought that it would. So you're following up like with asking, okay, like if what you're doing right now is leading to this result, what about this result are you unhappy with? That is where the emotion or the dissatisfaction arises. And if you can find that within your first 5 to 10 minutes of your sales call, the rest of the call is going to be pointed at solving that. And this is how you skip the surface level sales calls that feel like they don't go anywhere, because you're finding the problem really quickly. I'm going to pause for a second there, guys. What are you hearing me say?
I'm hearing you say you got to get beyond the surface level pain. You got to get into the pit, figure out really what's moving people. That's what I'm kind of hearing. And most of us stop at the surface level.
Yeah, good stuff. Couple more shares. Keep going.
Not to ask basic questions that
Don't
lead
be basic.
nowhere.
Don't be basic. All right, cool. So let me keep going back here. So I kind of just went through this, but this is how you find data between ROI offers and non-ROI offers, right? Now, the reason I like to do that is because, again, this finds out the implication or the dissatisfaction, right? It's a little bit different for every niche, right? Like I would do this a little bit differently if I was selling, like, you know, to a business owner doing 300K a month. I'd do this a little bit differently than someone making 10K a month. But the takeaway here is like, what is the dissatisfaction with their current result around the area of life that you help them with? Why are they dissatisfied? If someone's making 10K a month, but they're on a call with you around potentially helping them with lead gen, what about 10K? Like, why does that not feel like it's enough? Or why aren't they happy with that? Help me understand like that level of income a lot of people work towards, like that's the first milestone. Why does that feel like it's maybe not enough for you? Because that's where the real driver is, right? Without probing, people will tell you the truth. Dude, I have 3 kids. 10K a month after taxes is what, 7 grand? That's not enough for 3 kids, right? Or I've been at this business for 3 years and I've been capped at this revenue level. Like it's really frustrating. And now you guys can work your magic and actually start probing. So that's going to be, I don't think I have it here, but that's going to be one of the most important things that you guys can do on sales calls is go layers deeper. What do they mean by frustrating? How long have they been stuck there? Why is it that, you know, they've consistently bumped into the same income ceiling for the last 3 years? And this is going to evoke the real challenge, which is maybe it's strategic, but for a lot of people, it's like typically a deeper internal reason. Okay. Let me go back to my presentation so I don't go on a total tangent, guys. Cool. So again, this is how I like to sell, again, without fake guarantees that strain client relationships. Like you can get away with that when you're selling for other people. When you're selling for yourself, you really want to be in integrity with the deliverables and the outcomes that you're going to drive, because that's how you can, again, drive more sales on the back end. Now, a couple of things that you guys can start doing in your discovery is how do we pre-handle certain concerns or objections? Okay. Now, getting at the end of the call, someone telling you, hey, this is a lot of money, we kind of want to sit through it. That's a normal objection. That's something that you should be able to handle at the end of the call. Getting something like, hey, we've never done this before, so I just want to take some time to digest it. That's a normal objection for the end of the call that we want to have frameworks to handle so we don't lose those sales. But things like, I want to talk to your competitors first. I want to do more research. I don't know if it's the right time. Maybe I want to try this on my own first and then come back to you. These are concerns that we can get ahead of earlier in the call. You guys ever get those objections? those concerns?
I used to, but I'm not. I think I get the spouse objection all the time. I would love
Okay.
to do this. This sounds great. I need to talk to my spouse. Actually, I
Yeah,
don't get
right.
those. Certain levels, I get those, but yeah, that's the one I've run
That's
into probably the
fascinating.
most over my.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the spouse objection is it's sometimes it's a logistical thing, like genuinely sometimes people will not move forward without their partner, and other times, more often than not, it's a deflection of responsibility. It's like we're deflecting this decision to a third party that isn't here because that's the more comfortable thing to do, right? Now, I don't like to pre-handle the spouse objection because it seeds things that aren't necessarily there. We can go into that later. But in terms of things that we can get ahead of after you found the problem and the challenge and the real motivation for a solution, there's 2 or 3 questions that I always ask no matter what I'm selling. One, what has you potentially considering me? Or what about my work like really resonated that you're considering me potentially to work with? And I'm always using neutral language. When you're asking questions like this, if I was assumptive and like, yes, Sammy, so why do you want to work with me? You're like, well, I didn't fucking say that. You're assuming. And then boom, sales resistance. But if I'm like, yeah, man, so I hear your challenge. Based on what you've seen from me, what makes you think that maybe, I can help with all this? That is going under the radar of sales resistance. And people would typically give you an honest answer. Well, dude, I love your stuff. Or I've seen what you've done for other clients, and I really think it can work for me too. Okay. I like to follow up with that with what's called a rationale question. So if you guys are ever getting competitors or people that, yeah, this sounds great. When I sold men's work, one of the things that people would try and say is like, yeah, this sounds great, but before I spent $8,000 in a men's coach, there's a free men's group down the street, right? So I would get ahead of that. Cool, man. So help me understand the rationale here. What has you considering working with us in like a, men's program, which there's obviously going to be an investment for, versus just, I don't know, finding like the local men's group in your community and go about the freeway, right? Same thing, neutral language, because I want them to tell themselves the rationale, right? And don't be scared to ask that. People are scared to ask that because they think all of a sudden it's going to evoke this idea that wasn't there. That idea was there. And even if it does come up, actually, I didn't think about it. You handle it there instead of waiting to minute 50 after you've price dropped 10 grand and people are super closed off. So yeah, well, let's talk about it. Why haven't you looked at a local men's group? Right? When people haven't exhausted free options, it's typically like a procrastination issue, right? Again, which is probably why they're on the phone with you. And then the final thing is what they've done in the past. The reason we're asking those questions, cool, like just to see if I can even help. Like, what have you done in the past to solve XYZ issue? I want to know their previous buyer behaviors because that oftentimes dictates their future. And if they've been hesitant, we'll use the men's work example. Like, yeah, man, so what have you done in the past? Like, have you worked with therapists? Have you worked with any other men's specialists, or what have you kind of been doing? No, I haven't. Men's coaches are really expensive. I looked at another program as $2,000, right? If I'm selling a $6,000 item, I want to talk about that then. Okay, well, let's talk about that. What about the price point? Like $2,000 has made it unattainable. Is it that would that put you out on the street, or like have you just maybe haven't ever done that before, so it feels a little bit intimidating? And again, we're unraveling these things early on in the call because the earlier we can do it, the more conversational it is. Because if you wait till after you pitch and after you've price dropped, there is going to be sales resistance and people will be less open to you because there's money on the table. You guys with me so far?
That makes total sense.
Cool. Mark, we've been on the topic of men's work, brother. What do you see as something you can apply to what you're currently doing?
Yeah, so I mean, all of it's good for all the reasons you're mentioning there. It's about the place I'm leaning into. What I see out there. I've done so many of these programs, and this is how you do this. You tend to watch like the Tony Robbins and Dean Grozowski, whatever his name is,
Yeah.
where they partner. So they kind of lead the way in how I see many others adapt what they are up to. So, it went from all these different, so I start seeing all these methodologies and everything looks exactly the same. And in my mind, it's like that just from a man bores me to death, and it pisses me off to see that, right? So I'm making the assumption that the same is true with the men I'm going with. And so I put my stuff in my links in the links for my landing page for the course I'm working with right now. And I'm really looking at cleaning it up in a lot of ways, in that I'm being really honest and really clear that this isn't for all men. Because there's something about that this isn't, in fact, the majority of the men on this call, like when I'm doing a webinar, not for you. But if you're
Hmm.
one of the people who feel the call to it and you're willing to jump in, I can't even make any guarantees what's going to happen on the back end of this.
Yeah.
I can't promise you where you're going to go. What I can promise you is I'll stand beside you. I can promise you you're going to be a different man on the back end of this than when you came into this. I can promise you that I will help you move from the place of being victim and feeling like you have no control in this, to a place of initiation and deep conversation with yourself
Hmm. Hmm.
on the backside. That's what
Yeah.
I can offer you. So those kind of things, and it's like the money, part of me for the money aspect is I want to make this expensive enough that you have to stay with the program,
Yeah.
because men bail on stuff.
Oh
You're
yeah.
It's easier for you to back out if it's a $200 program than if it's a $2,000 program. You've invested in this.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself. Yeah, so those are kind of the place I'm doing, and listening to you is like, yep, direct. I don't have a problem going directly to where their issues are. I want to see if, I've done this a couple iterations. I can't get many men to show up. So it's like there's something off in the way I'm doing it. And so this new iteration of my mind is like, let's get more direct. Let's not give any bonuses. Let's not
Sure.
step away from that BS stuff that nobody goes and does anyway. And even
Yeah.
I think you can see my offer now. I think it's still in there, that maybe I pulled it out, that I gave like a go through the entire course and get your money back. But that's also one of those things
Yeah. I
of
don't sell on that kind of stuff. I don't like it,
I don't either.
especially for
Well,
my own offer. Yeah.
yeah. So for me, the thing is like, it's almost like, all right, this is the old Viking thing. Is like we hit the shore, we burn our ships so that we can't leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more you like, it sounds like you're having like a lead generation and marketing like thing to solve, which I mean, I could give you my 2 cents on it, but I think it's a little bit beyond my wheelhouse. But I think when you are driving leads, like polarizing marketing is great, because you'll push people away, but the people you attract are going to be just better clients.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what I will say though, because I see this a lot with founders that are really good at what they do, is sometimes they overcoach on sales calls. Okay.
Mm.
Like someone inquires and like the first session is like a free session, and it's just like you coaching them, and you do it from a place of good intention. But what that ultimately leads to is, Mark, thank you. That was so good. I got the clarity that I needed. I'm going to come back to you in a month. I'm going to try this on my own first, and then I'll reach out if I'm still struggling. So for all you founders, minimal, and I would say even no coaching on sales calls. That's what they're buying, is the coaching. And you're ultimately doing them a disservice, because you're giving them a little bit of false hope. Like, thank you, that's all I needed. They go and implement. They have no accountability. They have no integration. They have no leadership. And they're right back where they started, except a month or two later.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's keep going a little bit more, and then we'll do some Q&A. I think that gives you guys, that should be enough for most of you guys with your selling process. We'll probably want to massage this for Tammy, who's doing more B2B. Gonna maybe you can talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about objections. Let's go through this. I spent like 20 grand to learn how to handle objections. I'm gonna fire hose you guys for the next 6 minutes. Objection handling.
Nail us. Thanks, August.
Right. As a founder, if you guys are fighting through objections on the majority of your sales calls, your discovery sucks and your system needs improvement. Okay. You also increase your refund risk, which again, when I was a salesperson and someone refunded, all right, that sucks. That was $500 in commission. But when you're the founder, guys, if your refund rate goes over what, 2%, your payment processors will block you. I've had friends have 60, 70 grand stuck on Stripe because 1 month their their dispute rate went a little bit too high, which is why it's so important that our sales process, right, is coming from the right place. And if we're hard closing the majority of our clients, we're risking more than just that sale. Okay. Again, why the objection handling stuff on Instagram is really cute. But when you're running a business, right, there's more risks in that, in my opinion. So when objections do arise, because they will, people have been burned in the past. People have invested in other coaching programs typically. People may have never invested 10, 15 grand in themselves. So it is a big step. Right. What do you guys, what are the price points? What you guys, can you just drop that in the chat? Just have a rough idea. Price points. 3K, 5K, 150K. Okay, 2K. Yeah. You're probably gonna deal with more objections at that price point with men's work, but it's okay.
Would you at the 2K he's gonna run into more objections than if he was higher, correct?
Yeah, typically.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Typically, when I sold on a lower ticket offer, man, like it got me really good at sales because I was handling objections on every call. So then when I was selling 15K products, like people are like, all right, I'm good to go. It's just like attracts a different clientele. And it's fine. It's part of the game. Now, when objections do come up, guys, I think a lot of people who are not trained, like let's say, yeah, Sammy, it all sounds good. I need to think about it. What most people say, well, what do you need to think about? I'll give you everything you needed. Right. How many times have people heard that before from other salespeople slinging them on the phone, slinging them on the car lot, right? People associate negativity to sales because it is around them all the time, every day, every week, every year. They're just constantly getting sold. So sales resistance is naturally going to be high, especially at the end of the call when someone is maybe a little hesitant or maybe a little scared to invest $8,000 to a talking head that they met on Zoom. So we want to disarm. If someone says they need to think about it, this is my verbatim process. No stress. I'm validating and I'm confirming. No stress. Do you feel genuinely that with everything I laid out here, we can actually help you solve the problem? Verbatim. And this works on anything you sell. When I sell recruiting services to $1 million business owners, or when I sell sales coaching to a single mom who's unemployed, it's the same thing. No stress. Do you genuinely feel like with everything I covered here, with the process we laid out, that this can help you solve problem or get to outcome? Okay. We're validating or confirming. Now, typically, you're going to get one of two responses: a very clear yes, or an uncertain maybe, yeah, I think so. If you ever get an uncertain, either way, whatever you get, we follow up with another question. Okay, why do you say that though? Because you don't have to agree with me. Or what specifically makes you feel that way though? The first question typically gets a robotic yes. Oh yeah, of course. Right. It's a conditioned behavior to be polite. So we want someone to act, yeah, okay, but what specifically though? We want someone to really think back and let us know that they genuinely feel that this is the right thing for them. Most of the time you'll get a yes, and they'll tell you exactly why. But sometimes they'll tell you, yeah, like, oh, actually, I'm a little uncertain about blank and blank. Great. It means you dropped the ball when you were pitching. So go back. Okay, cool. Well, hold on, man. I don't want you jumping into this if you're not 100% certain that this is going to actually solve the problems for you. So what maybe is a little bit unclear in the process that I shared. Okay. So we're validating and we're confirming. Now at this point, let's say you got the spouse objection, right? Yeah, man, no stress if you need to talk to your partner. Do you though, like you personally, Sammy, like, do you genuinely feel like this is going to work for you? Because you're the one running the business, right? Okay, great. And what specifically makes you feel that way though? Okay, so when you say you want to like take some time to talk to your partner, right? Now we can clarify the objection. Is that like a permission-based conversation, or are you just looking to get their blessing? Okay, that would work with like a spouse objection. We're separating, we're clarifying the objection. That one's strategic, by the way. Permission, with most men, they'll be, no, it's not permission. I just want their blessing. Okay, so they're looking for a little bit of confidence. Right? Okay, cool, man. Well, if it's a matter of getting their blessing, is it fair to say you're just looking for a little bit of added certainty? Make sure you're not making a mistake? Cool. Let's talk about that. Okay. So, but no matter what objection you get, I never skip the validating and the confirming. We do it intentionally. It makes us feel like we're on the same team as the prospect. So it's me and the prospect versus their concern. And then when I ask them a question, okay, man, so if you feel like this could work for you, what's kind of coming up for you that's making you want to, push the decision off to next week? I mean, maybe I can help you, maybe I can't. The likelihood of them exposing the real hesitation is higher because they just admitted that this is going to help them solve their problem. And you'll typically get, yeah, man, it's just a lot of money or cash flow issues right now. Or, I've done this kind of thing before, so I really want to sit through it and make sure it's the right thing. Cool. The real objection has come up. Now I can spend 6 hours walking you guys through every single objection you'll ever get. This is the objection map I created for my students. But the reality is, like, for the founders here, I mean, for all the founders, if you can just double validate, confirm, and clarify, you will close more deals, because more often than not, it's going to be a money thing. And then you can offer, payment solutions if required. That's your flash course on objection handling. Questions for me so far?
That's so good. I love that. I think one of the questions I have selfishly, would you say for sales in the 30 to 100K range, it is a 2-call setup? Should I do a setter and then a salesperson?
Probably, yeah. It also depends on, like, what kind of funnel are you running?
Got it. Okay.
Like, are these like from your podcast leads, or are these
They're
like
all
from?
they're all from warm leads. We don't have a funnel on anything. Everything that we've generated has all been referrals and from events that I've done. So it's
Okay,
all
cool.
mm-hmm.
So, if it's super warm from referrals or events, you can kind of get away with the one call, but just to make sure you're not dropping the ball, I would have a short setter conversation, whether you are a setter. Really
Okay.
make sure it's a right fit. I would also make sure that the setter is sending tailored resources prior to the sales call.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool, man. You're going to talk with Sammy. Before you talk with him, since your business is in this situation, we actually have a case study with one of our clients that was in the exact same spot. I'm going to send it over to you. Can I count on you to go through it before you talk with Sammy? That way you have a better idea of, like, the what of what we do, and you and him can talk if it genuinely makes sense for you or not.
Cool.
So then the setter call is more about continuing to create more social proof and more authority with you. So then you should be able to do a one call close when you get on with them.
I love it. That's such a great point.
Good
Cool.
question.
I have another question, but I want to open up the floor for you guys too, real fast, because I could hammer on this.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions actually that line up. So the reason the course, right, that the program put in there is 2000. In fact, I might consider dropping it down because it's an introductory course. It's an 8-week program that then gets them in, warms them up, then makes the sales on the other end for the larger program, for the 15K program, much easier because they trust, like, and know me, right? They
Yep.
respect me. They know I can take them there. So it's a gateway to it. So from that standpoint, 2000 can almost be too much rather than too little.
Yep.
So I'm considering dropping down to get men in on that level. I still want it enough that it hurts, right? I want it to maybe that's complete wrong thinking too, but I'm playing with that. So that's my thinking. I just want to let you know that's where I'm going. So it leads from there to a 6-month or to a longer. I mean, menopause is a 7+ year journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably won't get them there until year 2 or 3 or so, because that's when the pain is so great that they're finally like, I need to do something with this because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I can take this much longer. Cool. So I've got you 3-4 years if I really work into this,
Okay.
which is powerful, right? So that's a huge place to so get them in there initially, see if they like me, then move them down that.
Yeah.
So then leads up to the question of Of through that lens, does it make sense instead of just doing Facebook ads with information and YouTube videos and stuff? Does it make sense to do a webinar before they get to that smaller course? Is that, do you feel like that's still, I mean, that's one of those things that almost so many people do. Is it a necessary step to get that leg across, or is it?
Yeah. So the short answer is like, where in your funnel are you building like marketing? There's two different school of thoughts, right? For high ticket sales, like people have consumed 5 to 7 hours of your content before they're buying any high ticket program, right? That's why webinars are so effective. And everyone does them because they work. I do it myself. I'm doing it every month now. They just work so well because you collapse the time of like people going through your YouTube videos or going through your short form into one lead generation event. Right now, it like meta ads to sell a $5 or $1,000 or a $1,500 program, bro, will be very expensive. You're probably just breaking even on that, right? And then sniping the upsells. So what I would probably suggest, and I'm not like a marketing expert, I'm regurgitating part of what's working for me, is figuring out a driving inexpensive leads to a community or to a webinar. And on the webinar, then you can pitch your, let's say if you're going to drop it from 2K to 997, your entry level offer, right? 2K to 3K, guys, is like the hardest price point to sell. It's enough that it's painful, that people have concerns and all the things, right? But it's not enough to really comp you for your time.
Right.
997, you can typically sell at the end of the webinar or in the DMs. Now that business model, you're like, you're not, it's a quantity game, right? I would lower your expectations of how many people are actually going to upsell. The point of those types of business models is like you're sniping out the top students and you're nurturing them a little bit extra and you're upselling them to your 15K pro. But then, once you like really figure out ads, then you essentially have a self-liquidating funnel. If it costs you $200 for every $500 low ticket sale, but for every 10 low ticket sales, you have one person that upsells your ROAS it.
Yeah, that's a winner, right? What you don't want is, costing you $1,200 to acquire $1,000 person and nobody upsells into the bigger core. I mean, you can go negative. You can do a negative ROI on the lower end if you've got a good return on the higher end course.
Yeah, I would, but I wouldn't do direct ads to like selling a course. I would do ads to some form of community funnel or driving people to your social media and then either nurturing them like in the DMs or getting them onto like some live training.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question though.
All right. Just want to throw it in there. Just real quick then follow up because you said, I get it. Don't give everything away in your sales call, but you can also give an awful lot away in the webinars that then
give everything away in the webinar. Don't do any coaching on a sales call.
Don't do any coaching. Gotcha.
Yeah. Give the farm away on the webinars. Give the farm away because people come to you. They're not coming to you, Mark, or for anyone, for any of us. They're not coming to us for like that revolutionary information that they can't find on ChatGPT. They're coming to us for the integration and collapsing the time of the transformation. So give it all away on the webbies. I go through so much on my webinar. I give pretty much my entire course away in 60 minutes, but it's also overwhelming. And people are like, holy crap, that's a lot. I don't know where to start. Let me talk to Andres about actually like training me. So give it all away on the webbies. No coaching on a sales call.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
We find that too, Andres, is giving that away. We think of that as the storefront for like a cake shop. You're not going to just give away a little piece of the crust. You're going to give away the best, juiciest thing ever in there. And they're going to want to know how to make that cake. And then they're going to want to be like, how did you do this frosting? I mean, it's so funny that people get, so in the weeds about what they should do on a webinar. I have a question for you real quick too. Andres, this is amazing. If you guys are loving this, definitely put some love in that chat because this is fire. And some of us are still creating our offers and things like that.
Cool.
For what I was wondering, when it comes to podcasting, right? And what a lot of our folks are doing, almost everyone is doing that. They're using the podcast as a lead magnet for their ultimate lead generating, right? Like to generate the best lead for
Yep.
their products. What would you say is the most useful way to frame their shows, if you've seen this,
Mhm.
to get a really good qualified lead for a podcast or from a podcast?
Good
So
question.
yeah, Susan's gonna have a coaching. Susan's about to do a TEDx talk and a book and all these
Dope.
things from her stuff. So I would love to know what is going to really drive the needle to help her get a really good qualified lead for her audience.
Okay, cool. I'm more familiar with this now because I'm working with Armando Leduc from the Flow community. So we're doing the podcast strategy for myself. And so there's a couple things is one, driving leads, and two, driving referral partners, right? For all of you guys, I get a lot of business from referral partners. Like this, for example, these types of trainings, I have 3 coaches that are non-competing that I just do a monthly training with, and it just attracts people that typically will eventually buy. So setting up JVs to attract those referral partners or JVs are fantastic, because most of the JVs I've struck up is because I've had some form of relationship with them, and that's what the podcast does. Now, in terms of driving leads, before you go live on the podcast, I like to frame it to him, and we're going to talk about XYZ. So when people come on my podcast, it's like, cool, we're going to talk about like how life is an enrollment game and how you've applied sales to your business and maybe some of the challenges you've experienced, right? And you can ask me questions throughout this. I also give people the permission, like it depends on the platform you're using. I'm like, for whatever reason, you feel like you're a little nervous or anything like that, we can always pause and re-record, like no stress on that. Cause I always want them to feel more comfortable. That's how I frame it. It's not much to it, but what happens after is the sauce. It's like before, like we wrap up the podcast, but I use StreamYard, so it takes a little while for like the thing to download. So I'm like, hey man, before you jump, we have about 3-4 minutes while this like actually does its thing. So please don't hop off yet. We're just gonna have to do this again. How was the podcast for you? Right? Like, how was the conversation around sales? Did it spark any potential ideas for you and what you're doing? Well, I know we don't have the time now, and I know you didn't come onto this call to like talk about potentially working together, but is that something that you would be open to? Maybe we set a time like this time next week, and I'm just booking a meeting from that meeting. I don't like to sell them there because typically what got them there is a podcast, and I don't want them to feel like, dude, are you really selling me right now? But I
I
want to
love
ask
that.
a couple questions and book that next appointment.
Cool. It's like the content guys. When we make content with podcasts, our job is to help them. And any social media content is it's not to get somebody to love our whole piece of content. It's to get them to love the next 90 seconds. All right.
Yeah.
And next
Yeah.
90 seconds and the next. So the same thing with your conversation, Susan, as you are thinking about the guests that we're booking and the conversations that you're having, we're going to look at referral partners. Maybe it's the ones that have those big stages. Maybe it's the ones you're like, oh yeah, I saw that you talked to 50,000 women over the last 6 months. That's so great. Love to share your knowledge with what we're doing at the end of that podcast. Just like Andres was saying, is like, that's so great. How do you feel like this? How did you feel that conversation went? What do you think this could do for your audience? We should talk. We should have a conversation about how I can support you more. This is
Yeah.
really all you're doing.
Yep. Yeah. Well
So
said. And always book a meeting from a meeting. A cool one. Like easiest thing with when you're selling founder to founder, how's same time next week work? Right.
Yeah.
It's just easiest thing because we're all busy. But
yeah.
I would like, cool, let's just find a time now while we're at it. I know we're both pretty slammed. So I can hang for another 5, 10, 15 minutes. I had actually 90 minutes blocked. But before we do more Q&A, what I'll do, guys, in the chat, I'll drop my Instagram. That's like my most active platform. Andres at Piff Papi. If you guys don't know what Piff means, live in the wrong decade.
Painful.
Painful.
Andre is always spilling sauce, I swear.
Thank you, bro. I'll also drop, I have a free school community. I do a training every Tuesday. You guys can bring whatever questions. I don't gatekeep or anything. I literally give away the form. If you guys want to join that, I just dropped it in the chat.
Ooh, we got a school community. I love school communities. They're the best.
Dude, ads to school right now are fire. Fire, fire, fire. Depends on your niche, but for a lot of info products, it's very good. Very, very good. Cool. Well, I'm down to just spend the next whatever time just doing a free flow Q&A session. So what are you guys struggling with?
Andres, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I've got to bounce, guys. Thanks so much. I've got another meeting I've got to be on here in 2 minutes.
Later, bro.
Kill it, Mark. Good to see you.
Appreciate it. Good to see you both.
I have one of the things that I was wondering about for your framing inside a conversation. I am the king of confusing potential clients because I coach them because I get into visionary mode and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I have such a cool idea for your show. Like Tammy knows this, Susan knows this. I'll fire hose them. I'm like, hey, here's 10 things I think would be dope for your show and what you can do. And I've noticed I'll do that inside of a sales call. When I see myself doing it, I can hear myself starting in on it. Is there a practice that got you to kind of pause yourself, slow down? Like I know I have to slow down and pause, but is there a framework that you stay in that will help you not even get into that? So you just keep asking pertinent questions? Because I work with a lot of type A people. And when it comes to like an AI consulting gig, our biggest tier is a 6-figure offer.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I need to offer them some sort of takeaway. Am I
Yeah.
thinking wrong, or what would you do for that to stay in that frame of mind?
Yeah. Well, you want to remember, like, no matter how cool of an idea you might have, is like, unless people have like felt that you can solve their problem, like it's gonna go over their head, or they're gonna check out, right?
Mhm.
Now, education is fine on sales calls, like especially like with podcast strategies for lead gen. Like people sometimes don't understand what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
So education is totally fine.
Okay.
What I would say is like when you're dealing with type A guys that are running multi-million-dollar businesses, it's like, hey man, give me some context. Let me understand what you got going on. Let me see if I can even help and ask you a few questions. And then, I'll share some ideas because I'm full of them, right? You can keep your conversations quite short. When you find yourself though, going on a tangent or like just in visionary explanation mode, the most like the first practice that you can start doing for anyone when you find yourselves on a monologue is like, okay, I feel like I'm talking a lot at you. Can I pause for a second, man? Like, is this sounding helpful? Like,
Mm,
what are you hearing me say? I do it on these webinars on purpose.
yeah, I saw
Like,
that. It's good
I feel
pattern.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I feel like I just fire hose you guys. Let me stop for a second. Like, do you see like this actually working within your organization? So this is the exact coaching I gave Armando recently, because very much like you, he goes into idea mode. And I'm like, look, man, to change this form of communication overnight, it's not going to happen. It takes time. It takes more sales calls. It takes you losing more sales calls to realize, fuck, that was $90,000 in a contract. Maybe I shouldn't do that again.
Maybe I
Right.
won't do that again.
But at least the initial thing that you can take from this call, again, is it when you find yourself talking at someone, how do you just wrap it up in a question? Wrap it up in a question. Hey, are you finding this useful? But more importantly, hey man, I can get really, really in the weeds, but just to check in, do you see how applying something like this could actually benefit you with XYZ? So that would be like your next level of growth, Sammy, is just practicing that.
Okay.
And I think just by doing that, it's going to train you to just, again, speak a little bit less and ask more of the right questions.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Andres, sometimes when you speak, it's like I'm like, take my money in the middle of the call. Love
I
it.
got a program. You can join whenever you. All right, cool. Thanks, bro. I appreciate the support. Suzanne and Tammy, any questions from you guys?
Well, sorry, I joined late. My brain is all over the place, and Sammy knows this. I have a little bit of Sammy's brain in my brain. so I have the podcast and I'm really trying to figure out what it is I'm going to offer. Am I going to offer coaching? Am I going to offer, I don't know. I need to
Okay.
like hone that in. One of the things that I was thinking about was a 30-day reset type thing. My podcast is called Done Pretending. And I'm finding that my avatar is entrepreneurs a lot and women.
Okay.
So I am just trying to wrap my brain around that, something that I can actually offer instead of just giving insight on my podcast.
Okay. So are you still so it sounds like you're still in offer creation mode then?
I am.
Okay. Are you using chat or doing any discovery calls or anything like that?
I have not yet.
Okay.
I mean, I use chat all the time, but not for creating offers.
I use chat to refine my offer. I already had a decent offer because sales coaching is pretty straightforward, but I also have been doing sales for years. So I was like, okay, I met a lot of women that suck at sales. I'm going to help them.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a little bit, because I've been doing it for so long, but with AI, what you can do is you can test different prompts. Like, okay, as if you were Tony Robbins and Alex Hormozy, right? Or as if you were Alex Hormozy, right? This is who I think I want to work with. Help me draft up an initial offer. The more you can feed it, like, I think, I want to work with people that are this age, that are struggling with this, that are going through this. My personal journey looks like this. This is what I can help them with. As if you were Hormozy, like, to help me come up with an offer. Like, what would that look like? Then once you get like a skeleton of an offer, you go, okay, great. Now with this skeleton, what are the psycho and demographics of this ICP? As if you're Alex Hormozy. So you can test out a lot of prompts like that.
Okay.
And that should help you come up with like a skeleton of an offer. Okay, like, taking into account that this is my initial launch, that this might be a beta pricing, like what would you suggest if you're Alex Hormozy, right? When you prompt it to act as someone you look up to, right? It typically gives you some pretty good advice.
Okay. And also use it. There was a prompt that went out about telling chat to be your ruthless mentor.
Yes.
And doing that, but also like, because I use that all the time because I had to refine. So I've been overhauling my website this whole week and I've refined our sales approach completely where I'm in the business that I'm in, it's constant convincing and chasing. And once we get in with a meeting, then we have to convince it. It's so much. I'm like, this is a stupid business model. I'm not going to do it anymore. What I'm going to do is align and attract and make them come to me. I'm flipping the entire script. So I'm going to have departments reach out and qualify to work with us so that I don't have to chase so much. So in doing that, I have to be very, very, very pinpointed in my messaging and what I'm saying. So I started going in and being like, take a Chase Hughes approach, take a CIA approach. And so just like really ruthless, hardcore, top best of the best, use all those prompts because it will give you the methodology of those without ripping them off, but
Yeah.
learning from the best. If you want to be the best, learn from the best. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah, then I had it actually mock up an offer doc for Notion. Now I'm a little bit different than you guys, like in terms of how I structured my business and my funnel. And when I sell to salespeople, like I don't even get on sales calls. I just I DM sell them, and then I send the offer that chat spit out. I put it on a Notion doc and I send that in the DMs, and I drive sales that way. But the point of me sharing that was that the offer doc that it spit out was just so clean and just so hyper targeted to my avatar. Sweet. Any other questions for me, guys?
I have a question for you, Andres. How do people get in touch with you? This has been fire. Amazing.
Yeah, it's been a good time.
Thank you so much for the guys, for all your little AI nuggets. So we want to make sure Andres gets his link in there. This has been great training, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much.
I dropped my Instagram before. That's probably the best way. Be warned, as soon as you guys follow me, my setter will probably reach out. So we trained her up pretty good. So that's probably the best way there. And then also I dropped it up here before. The free community I run is for founders and for closers. We do live trainings every Tuesday. We work with a lot of early stage founders, right, doing under 30K that are still taking all their sales calls. And then again, a lot of salespeople. It's also a great place for you guys. Like, I think for founders, when they train with salespeople, they can really see the levels that there are to closing. But then down the road, right, let's say a year from now, you want to hire your first salesperson, like you can hire them from that community because you'll know they're all trained by me. So thank you, Sammy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys that come to play full out. I mean, Mark just left, but Tammy, we'll connect. Susan will connect. So great to see you guys here. Thank you for being here. And Andres, we'll see you maybe at the next flow.
I'll see you in Cancun, bro. Peace.
All right, brother. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you.